We have some questions here from the Cult of Cornette Facebook group on the Facebook page. People are still getting in. People are still trying to get in. There's a lot of you. We're trying to make sure no riffraff get in. It takes time. We're sorry.
You want to separate the riff from the raff. Occasionally we'll allow a little riff, but never any raff.
This question was sent by Joe Malley. What's the most unintentionally hilarious thing Jim has ever personally seen happen in a wrestling ring?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, oh, geez, that's hard in 40 years on the sperm of the moment here.
Unintentionally.
Well, that's the thing. There's some element of comedy when it goes sideways, as long as everybody's okay at the end, like when ropes break or people slip and fall off, or, not a comedic spot, but some unintentional shit. Dr. D, David Schultz, I've told this story before. When I was still a photographer, Schultz had a deal where he would shoot a guy into the ropes, a big leg lariat. He would shoot a guy in the ropes, and then he would run, take a couple of steps, jump up in the air, and stick his big old long leg out and just blast a guy with it, right? And it was just, it was different. So one night, Schultz and Dennis Condrey, are wrestling Ricky and Robert Gibson in Louisville. And at that point, Ricky Gibson gets a sleeper on Dennis and turns his back to Schultz. And they're going to stop Ricky for the heat, in the match by Schultz is going to come in and jump up and give him the big leg in the back of the head, right? So the referee's putting Robert out, or he's distracted with Robert, and Schultz jumps in the ring, takes a couple of steps, and runs and jumps and sticks that leg out. And at the same time, Dennis is in a sleeper, and he can't see. He kind of slumps over a little bit, and Ricky Gibson slumps over with him. And Schultz went straight over their fucking heads and landed right in front of them. Boom! And there's both Dennis and Ricky are now looking at Schultz, who's landed on his ass, and the referee turns around, and there's Schultz there, and Schultz just gets up and walks back to the fucking corner. Or the time, I've told this story before, but it was fucking hilarious, Mike Furness's comeback in Knoxville.
Yeah.
The Doug Furness had come to Knoxville to Smoky Mountain Wrestling to work against the Heavenly Bodies because we were breaking Doug's brother Mike, and he had played football at University of Tennessee also, not to the level of Doug, and Mike didn't take in the wrestling business. And then he was driving Domino's delivery, and somebody ran into him, and that ended his career. But Doug's selling. The Heavenly Bodies getting the heat on him, and it's the big hometown audience, Knoxville Civic Coliseum, Christmas night. They've come to see the Furness brothers. And so we're building Mike up to get the big hot tag and make the comeback on the Heavenly Bodies. And finally, as Doug gets over there and gets the tag, Mike jumps into the ring and runs toward Tom Pritchard and leaps into the air with a flying clothesline, and clotheslines Tom, who takes a big bump. And Mike lands on the mat, and his momentum makes him keep rolling, and he rolls right on out of the ring underneath the bottom rope on the other side to the fucking floor before he can stop. And the people went, yeah! and then their Jimmy came into the ring to take a clothesline or something, and he watched the guy fly right out of the fucking, he turns around, what do I do? And then Mike is scrambling because it's like, you don't want people to know you fell, and he scrambled back in there and continued on with it. They took all the bumps, but it was like, just boom. That was, you had to be there, but that was one of the funnier things shit happens like that. I mean, there's countless things. That's why to say the most absolutely hilarious, unintentional thing is kind of difficult.
There are things that were funny in a moment, but when I think back on them, they become funnier and funnier. When we went to Louisville in 95 for the Smoky Mountain vs. USWA show, the night kayfabe died in Louisville. But when we were there, I think, was it you and Hildebrand against Randy Hales and Frank Morrell?
And Frank Morrell.
And the losers had to kiss the winner's feet?
Yes.
Because Frank Morrell got on the mic, and I believe the way he said it, it was just so ridiculous. He goes, I'm not happy with this foot and kiss. Okay, everyone knew what he meant, but he
Yes.
said nothing.
I'm not happy with this kissing foot type of thing. I'm not happy with this foot and kiss. Well, that's like what they say the other day. I'm glad you opened your ass. Well, and I mean, imagine the people that were there that night when Dick Murdoch, the classic story, he's supposed to get drop kicked in the back by the fucking babyface, take a bump over the top rope, and he turns around and gives the people the big and somebody throws a cup of fucking ice and hits him in between the shoulder blades, and he takes a bump over the top rope for it. You know, imagine being in the audience for that. You'd have to fucking laugh.
Is that one of the things that Terry Funk did best? That he could mix moments where the fans, in times you could only laugh, but then he also made it serious.
Yes, and Dennis Condrey used to phrase it better than I ever have heard anybody with that type of thing and guys that could do that. And the Midnight did it, especially on spot shows. You'd make them laugh and then make them mad because you made them quit laughing. The baby faces could do the funny shit to you and they'd be laughing at you. But when you did something dirty and cut them off and then it got more serious, you made them mad because you made them quit laughing. And then they wanted to see you get your ass kicked again. And then in the comeback, hopefully you would.